This is a translation of Roman Golovin's original video by Ariana. Hello guys, it's Roman Golovin. Welcome to the channel Earthly Development's Path. Today we have an important topic called Bright Souls. Very necessary information will be received from the subtle plane today, and it will be very interesting. I want to note that this info hasn't been previously mentioned on my channel. This is already our new development and new knowledge. I have already told you about 3 souls. Those people who have been subscribed to me for a long time know. Once, God created 3 bright souls. They developed for a very long time. These souls were also divided. Now we have slightly adjusted the knowledge. It turns out that souls do not come from the main one soul, as everyone believed, but from those 3 souls that were originally created for development. So there was a certain soul or creator which created these 3 souls, and already from them, their own souls began to appear, and multiply and gradually the connection and separation began to occur. Over time, these 3 souls stepped aside. They went through all the development, gained the necessary experience, and they were no longer interested in developing, so they chose the path of hermetism. As some kind of voluntary of asceticism, they didn't go over to the dark side and didn't turn from path. They were alone until some point and realized that there was no interest in developing further, no incentive, and therefore they were in voluntary hermetism. All the souls that we see around us today are the descendants of those 3 souls. And as you know, the bright path is not easy either. We are also developing, we are going all along a certain path. Each soul has its own purpose from which one should not retreat. And when we go on this path of development, we rise higher and higher, but we can't overtake and rise above these 3 souls and the Creator, God. Such are the rules. And since they stopped developing and following a certain path, and they, so to say, left us, and we are now on our own, so they don't create conditions for us to develop in the future anymore. And it seems like we live in this world, but at the same time we aren't particularly guided, and thus our direction and development are final. It is not as many people think that our development is still finite, and thus when we develop, we reach our maximum. When I asked on the subtle plane, what do we need to do to move away from spiritual stagnation, and how to persuade those 3 souls, or is it really possible to somehow persuade them so that they will develop again? Well, yes, it's real, but since we are dependent on our planet, on other planets and dimensions, we need to give them an incentive, bright, positive energy, so that they want to develop further. If we take the entire light structure, then lack this urge from us, the positive dynamics of energy that would make them reconsider to move on. I think in the future we will definitely achieve this. And I want to mention that there are also dark souls, which are always ready to gladly provide us with development. We will talk about this in the next video. So, dark souls are constantly trying to seduce us and lure us to their side. That is why they often try to lead us astray from our purpose. We stop understanding where we are. There are many temptations, especially financial ones, which lead us astray. And these three souls are in seclusion. They exist on their own, but they have stopped particularly supporting us and giving us direction for developing. So they are on their own and we are on our own. You can ask, why doesn't the main soul remove them or punish them? Because if the main soul removes these three souls, then we will also remove ourselves. We are on a whole, and if we remove ourselves, then the entire architecture and structure of development will collapse. This cannot be done. They may someday emerge from this hibernation and spiritual stagnation and move on. There is also information that I learned from the subtle plane that there are other souls that God created which continue to develop and are quite powerful. They are very active and strong, much stronger than those old three souls, our descendants. If you compare the number of these super developed young souls, there are very few of them compared to those which already exist, such as us. But they cannot independently move on without their ancestors and creators. But these souls were created in a certain quantity and now they cannot reproduce further because the creator can punish them for that. Yeah, maybe they do something, but not much, and they don't reproduce, especially. They exist both on our planet and in other dimensions, but mostly there are those old souls which are now in some kind of spiritual dead end. And why is it now much easier for dark souls to lure us to their side? Because the bright ones stopped developing. We lost our incentive. We also found ourselves in a spiritual dead end, stagnation. We began to think incorrectly and true development became a little alien to us, and therefore many have many temptations and contradictions. Is it really so? Is it true what they say, and etc., etc., etc.? We have lost our way, and no one is going to find this way. This is very important and fundamental knowledge. A person who has it, it's much easier for him to move and exist in this life. So, you and I will develop. At least I have a desire. I'm always interested in developing with someone. For example, it's not interesting with people who don't want to develop. I want to receive new info, find paths that need to be followed. They must be stable and powerful and have a strong return. This is your genius, connection with the genius. it's important that the genius supports you. Also, it's reaching your destiny. It's difficult for ordinary souls to do that without a coach. And the ability to read clues. Clues are not only what you see in the form of dreams, or gut feeling, or some numbers on the clock, and etc., etc., etc. Basically, these are internal clues when you feel inside yourself whether you are doing the right thing or not. You need to learn to do this. We will definitely continue to talk about this topic. I wish you success and prosperity. Develop with us. We are waiting for you at our consultations. Best wishes.